All right, let's go on a bit of a journey. We're heading to some of the strangest corners of our planet. Places that seem to completely defy logic, places where the rulebook of nature just gets thrown out the window. So, how about this for a starter? A fire that's been burning for over half a century. I mean, really think about that. A perpetual fire in the middle of a desert? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, right? Or what about this? A lake that literally turns life to stone. Yeah, you heard me right. We're talking about places where nature's rules just, well, they just seem to break. And it doesn't stop there. A waterfall that seems to bleed right out of a glacier? Look, from the hottest spots on the planet to the absolute coldest, our world is just packed with secrets. So get ready, because we're about to take a tour of some of the most unbelievable wonders on Earth. Okay, first up, we're headed to Venezuela, and what you're looking at is Mount Roraima. It's this incredible flat-top mountain that literally looks like an island floating in a sea of clouds. And for centuries, that's kind of what it was, totally cut off from the world down below. And this is where it gets really cool. You've got this split between myth and science. The local legends, they called this place a doorway between heaven and earth. I mean, you can see why. But then in 1884, climbers finally made it to the top. And what they found? Well, it was just as magical. A genuine lost world. A completely isolated ecosystem with plants and animals you just don't find anywhere else on the entire planet. All right, from a mountain in the clouds, let's jump over to Poland, to a forest that looks like something out of a Dr. Seuss book. Seriously, this is the Crooked Forest. We've got about 400 pine trees here that are all growing with this bizarre J-shaped curve at their base. It's so uniform, it's kind of spooky. And here's the kicker. Nobody knows why. I mean, there are theories, of course. Maybe a super heavy snowstorm bent them all when they were just little saplings. Or what if there's some kind of weird gravitational pull right in the spot? And then there's the big one, the idea that people actually shaped them on purpose, maybe to get curved wood for building boats. But honestly, it's a total mystery. Okay, so we've seen a weird forest. Now let's head over to Indonesia, to a volcano that's hiding a spectacular secret. Up on the island of Flores, you'll find Mount Kelimutu. And inside its craters are these three incredible lakes that are constantly changing color. And again, we have this amazing split between belief and science. The local people believe the lakes are where the souls of the dead go to rest. Science tells us, well, it's volcanic gases reacting with minerals in the water. And that makes sense, right? But here's the puzzle. Why are all three lakes, which are right next to each other, totally different colors? And why do they change on their own schedules? It's like nature is running three separate, unpredictable chemistry experiments at the same time. Okay, for this next one, we're going deep. I mean, deep into the Amazon jungle in Peru. We're looking for a river that, for the longest time, people thought was just a myth, a local legend. And yeah, for years, it was just a story. Until 2011, when a scientist actually went and found it. And get this, the water temperature hits 86 degrees Celsius. That is hot enough to literally cook anything that falls in. Now you'd think, okay, there must be a volcano nearby, right? But there isn't. It's hundreds of miles from the nearest one. And that's the big scientific mystery. Nobody can quite figure out where all that heat is coming from. Our next location is unsettling. We're going to a remote village in Kazakhstan called Kalachi, but it's better known by its nickname, the Sleeping Village. And trust me, it earned it. So back in 2013, something bizarre started happening. People would just fall asleep out of nowhere, and they'd stay asleep for days. When they finally woke up, they had memory loss, headaches. It was terrifying. For 2 whole years, doctors were completely baffled. Eventually, they figured it out. Radon gas, seeping out of an old, abandoned Soviet uranium mine nearby. But even without explanation, you can't blame some of the locals who still think the place is cursed. Okay, let's go from a sleepy village to literally the most extreme opposite, Antarctica, the coldest, driest, most remote place on the planet. And right in the middle of all that pristine white ice, you find this. It looks for all the world like a glacier is bleeding. This was first spotted way back in 1911, and obviously it's not actually blood. What's happening here is mind-blowing. It's super salty water that's been trapped under this glacier for millions of years. No light, no oxygen. And this ancient water is packed with iron. So when it finally leaks out and hits the oxygen in our atmosphere for the very first time, it rusts instantly. That bright red color is literally rust. Someone once described it as light flowing from the Earth's wound, which is just perfect. It's beautiful and kind of creepy all at once. And this endless landscape of white, you get this dramatic red slash. That's a perfect reminder of all the weird hidden stuff happening right under the surface.
All right, next up, we're heading to the deserts of Turkmenistan. And this one isn't a natural mystery. It's a monumental man-made mistake. A mistake that has been on fire for over 50 years. Everyone calls it the door to hell.
So here's the story of how you accidentally create a gate to hell. It's 1971. Soviet geologists are out there drilling for natural gas. Suddenly, the ground underneath their rig just collapses, leaving this huge crater spewing poisonous methane gas. So in what seemed like a good idea at the time, they decided to just light it on fire. They figured, hey, it'll burn itself out in a couple of weeks, problem solved. Yeah, they were wrong. Very, very wrong. More than 50 years have passed, and it is still burning. It's now this massive 70-meter-wide pit of fire. Just an unbelievable testament to a tiny miscalculation with some very long-lasting consequences. And for our final stop, we're going to Tanzania, to a lake that is absolutely beautiful, in a very deadly kind of way. This is Lake Natron, and its beauty hides a really dark secret. So the water in this lake is incredibly alkaline. We're talking almost as caustic as ammonia. What that means is that any animal that isn't adapted to it and dies in the water gets calcified. It basically turns them into these creepy stone-like statues. It's a death trap. And yet, and this is the crazy part, it's also the single most important and safest place in the world for flamingos to breed. They're one of the few creatures that can handle it, which means their babies are safe. It's a nursery in the middle of a graveyard. So after a tour like that, from glaciers that bleed and rivers that boil to lakes that turn life to stone, it really makes you think, doesn't it? What's nature's real wonder? Is it the stunning beauty that we see all around us? Or is it the terrifying, powerful, and totally bizarre stuff that's happening just out of sight?